So, let me explain my reasonings to you all. Albert, he has motive. In fact, let's do it in this screen. This gives us everything that we've looked at. So, Albert has motive. He killed his father because Dunn thwarted his dreams of joining the Royal Navy by killing his father. He could have revenge and succeeded his father as the place's Kew Gardens. That doesn't make sense to me. The last bit. He wanted to join the Navy. He loves sailing. I mean, he couldn't even pronounce the names of some of the plants he was analysing the morning of the death. You know, he was like, I don't remember these Latin names. Yet he passed, he's not a dullard, he passed the entry exams to the Navy College. So he's intelligent, and people even say to him, you have managerial skills and all that stuff. So he has mental capacity. It's just he doesn't give a shit about plants. He doesn't want to do this. His dad's forcing him into it. And I think I know why. I think he's jealous of the fact that Martin Hamish followed in his father's footsteps, who was Montague Dunn's business partner. Hamish's father was the botanist, and Dunn was the financier. And then young Martin Hamish followed in his father's footsteps and became a botanist as well. He wants that for Albert, but he didn't get it, so he's bitterly disappointed in him. So maybe that's why he's constantly bullying him as well. There's a bit of revenge going on there, I think. So, Albert killing his father in this way would be... the end goal would be to get his life back, right? Not do what his dad wanted him to do anyway, otherwise why kill him at all? I mean, okay, it gets rid of him, he's no longer bullying him, but it has to be more than that, you know? It has to be a little bit more than that. If he wanted one thing and now suddenly he wants something else, he's not following through on his motive. Plus, Hamish doesn't like Albert. Would they really work together? This is the only new thing that this has brought to me. They wouldn't work together, because Hamish doesn't think Albert has what it takes. Hamish also wanted to be the director, not Albert. So you could say maybe there's a power play going on after the fact, and they did this now just to get him out of the way and see who wins, but that's not very likely at all. So I don't think Albert did it just because he's not following through. Albert was more likely to kill his father by burying a shovel in the side of his head in an argument than he was involving himself in an elaborate plot like this. So, to me, Albert can't be involved. Albert's lack of experience means he didn't work with the plants. That's another slight change. Before it became like a potential, murder duo, when it was just potentially just one of them doing it on their own, I always thought, well, Albert doesn't have the necessary expertise and knowledge, and even, he doesn't give a shit anyway about plants, so he wouldn't have had the time to sit down and test his method with these plants. Whoever did this weird, elaborate killing had to have time to test the method. So he did have opportunity, though. He would have had access to the plants. He has keys to the place. They're given to him by his father. Martin Hamish doesn't have keys. He doesn't have the runabout the place. So that was one thing. But anyway, I don't think Albert was involved in this, because now he's kind of doing the whole, my father's dead and I'm suddenly faced with a new fact of life, I have to carry on his legacy. That's why he wants to be the director now. Whereas we know Martin Hamish sent a letter to the Royal Society that manages Kew Gardens, urging them to name him the new director. So now we know that was definitely follow through on Hamish's motive, because he thinks that his father should have been in charge of this place, whereas Dunn took all the credit, right? Montague Dunn took all the credit while his father let it happen, and as a result they slid back and into obscurity. You slept for 4 hours today and understand nothing, so we'll just listen and enjoy. That's fine, absolutely. Martin Hamish's father should have been more prominent than he was, and this was clearly something that stuck in Hamish's craw. He talked about it when we questioned him. So that was his motive, quite clear and solid, and he has opportunity. Of course, he has the capability, the know-how, and access to the plants again. His involvement, I don't think we can dispute now. He definitely did this. This also, I guess, disqualifies the sect. The whole Divine Society thing, I'm just going to say I ruled them out early because we found a portion of one of their plant pot fragments in the burnt out pyre of evidence from the colonial room that was destroyed to remove all the, plant spores and everything so it would not show up and nobody would have thought there was a murder here. And they said that they didn't recover their plants, so they stole the rest of them, which we know they did. They admitted it, and I believe them because otherwise we wouldn't have found a part of one of their plant pots here. Even though we found the plants that were used at the Divine Society, they would have had spares, they would have had extras, they would have had plenty of them in the nursery, and they just put them back in the greenhouse on display, when the ones that they loaned went missing. Because Montague Dunn was trying to steal them. They had motive, but they didn't have opportunity, and they certainly, the fact that we found that plant pot fragment there rules them out anyway. So yes, that means Hamish had to be at least involved somehow. So Albert not involved, I'm all for that. So why is White involved? Right, well, White, she came here from the college where Albert's studying as well. In fact, it was because of him that she was able to come here. She's from a poor family. She shows signs of malnutrition as a child. She had blotches all over her hands that was, apparently a sign of that kind of thing having happened in youth. She wrote to her parents asking for money recently, but she dresses fine. She's got nice jewellery. She's got a box of it in her locker. Nice perfume and a very well-made silk vanity purse. We also find in Montague Dunn's safe a list of things he's done for her. He put out a nice hotel room for her. He gave her money for the tailor, money for jewellery, or bought the jewellery himself, and he kept a list of it as though he was keeping a list of favours to call on later. And we do know from Martin Hamish that Mr. Dunn was a bit of a womanizer. So yeah, that could have been going on. Or, not necessarily, he could have been doting on her as he would a daughter that he never had, because he sees in her all the promise that his son doesn't have. So she's the new surrogate child. One or the other, there was some kind of affection relationship there. Now, what I need to do... Oh, that was the thing I needed to double check at the beginning. Let me just reread those letters that we found. Yeah, this was the debt of Miss Margaret White to Mr. Montague Dunn. This is what he was keeping in his safe. She thought he was doing this out of kindness, but he wasn't. Rental of a suite of rooms at Oxford Street. That's posh. That's a posh part of London. An educational scholarship. Oh, that was it. Yeah, he got her on the scholarship as well. And credits opened at Hamilton, Radgan House Tailors, and Baird & Sons Luxury Jewellers. So he was paying for her lifestyle. It's one thing to put food on someone's plate because you are, sympathetic of their impoverished lifestyle. It's another to just go that far. So, yeah. The breakup, there it is. This is a letter that he sent to her fairly recently. My dearest Margaret, following our last conversation, I believe it might be better if you vacate your position here at Kew Gardens. They had a split. As you pointed out quite bluntly, you are no longer in need of my support. She found a new benefactor. You are quite able to stand up for yourself in this world, as you say. Well, I give you back your freedom and wish you nothing but good luck. Albert's letter to Miss White. We don't have dates for these, so we don't know when these happened, but... Dearest Margaret, I know how your financial troubles are overwhelming you at the present time. Please let me reassure you that I could not permit you to remain in such a dilemma. I was born of a wealthy family. I would consider it an honour if you might accept my help. Your devoted servant, Albert. He couldn't have been ignorant to the fact that this was going on. I think this might have been sent after Montague Dunn's death. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe when he knew that the dad cut her off, but whoever it was, she got either another benefactor or she was just sick of receiving his help or she suspected he was just, racking up the debt. But he cut her off. Or maybe she was trying to social climb. I don't know. But something was going on. He cut her off. The gravy train's running dry and she's going to lose her place at Kew Gardens, which she needs for her thesis. It's really beneficial to her. It's not just about the money, I think. It was also the academic credits. So she was going to lose a lot more than just money in that breakup. So that's her motive. She gets to kill him. She no longer loses her place here. And she also has Albert lined up as a new benefactor who's just inherited the father's estate, so he's capable of supporting her. She had a lack of experience. Well, actually, to be honest, I would have said she had knowledge as well, because she has knowledge of chemistry. She has chemistry books and a diploma for chemistry. So yeah. But that kind of invalidates everything for some reason. But anyway, you know, we'll go with what the game says, lack of experience, to put them back together as White as an accomplice. So it really comes down to the fact that we believe that White had time, she definitely did, to get there, lock the door and come out. What's bothering me though is Hamish's suicide. Was it assisted? Or did he really just kill himself on his own? You know? Because the letter doesn't mention an accomplice. Would she have been able to overpower Hamish and then hang him? Very unlikely. I don't think Albert would have either, though. I mean, the guy's, you know, kind of a weed, to use a botanical expression. So that's the only thing that's really sticking in my head now as a potentially, you know, complication. But yeah, overall, I think White had all the reason to do it, and she's benefiting from the follow-through. She's still sticking around, even though Dunn told her to clear her desk out. Now nobody's telling her to clear her desk out. And she said she was in the lab on the day that this happened, which I can believe. But what was she doing? Was she working with the plants? Because we know that the alkaloid solution, which we find the residue of here, we know that that solution was used to open up the poisonous spore plant. So maybe she did that here, prepped the plants, and then while they were all doing their walk around, she went in here and set the scene up. You know, she went into the colonial gardens, she set the scene up, she put the plants on the table, put the caterpillars in the air vent, lined them up properly as she'd been instructed by Martin Hamish, plus she would know how. She has some knowledge. She's a more accomplished botanist than Albert, right? She set it all up, and then she would have quickly moved out of the way and waited behind this door. And once Montague Dunn went in, she would have come back and locked the door, because she has a key. That's the other key factor. It's a little bit more complicated than what I was chewing over the last couple of days. So she's a Batman villain. Yeah, pretty much. Absolutely. So, you know, where was I? Yeah, she has the keys. I mean, Albert has keys and he could have loaned them to Montague Dunn. To Hamish. He could have loaned them to Hamish to say, here, use this to lock the door. But then Hamish and him were disputing over the whole who has keys, who doesn't, blah, 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 blah. That temporary alliance just suddenly evaporating. Oh, here's the key back. Oh, can I have some keys, by the way? No. It doesn't track. She already had them. Plus, I think he might have known about her financial situation. He detested Dunn in many ways, and he didn't like the whole womanizing thing. He would have been watching this, and then he would have seen the breakup, and he would have been like, I've got an opportunity here. He may have been, you know, the driving force behind this. He wanted the directorship, and he was reaching for it while the body had barely cooled. You know, he was going to send those letters to the Royal Society saying, make me the director quickly. So I guess this could have been his fabrication and he used her, as opposed to her being the mastermind behind this. He was also studying the way that plants attack each other, but she was as well. What the hell is Albert Dunn studying? How to organize the broom closet? Quite possibly. So, in my opinion, this is the truth. Albert didn't do any of this. Like I said, he's more likely to bury a shovel in his father's head in the middle of a fight than he was to involve himself in an elaborate murder plot. So, Margaret White was Martin Hamish's accomplice in killing Montague Dunn. Her professional ambition and personal situation had been damaged by the breakup with Dunn. Yes. So do we condemn her? She's a dangerous woman capable of carrying out an elaborate murder for monetary gain. She flirted with Dunn's son Albert and later pushed Martin Hamish to suicide. She deserves the rope. How could she push him to suicide? I doubt it. I mean, I guess Hamish could very well have just killed himself. She could have put the letter on his body, you know, to be like, I've got an opportunity to wash my hands of this. But it wouldn't have been typed, it would have been handwriting, and that wouldn't necessarily... He had to have written it, otherwise Sherlock would be looking at it saying, let's compare his handwriting with his own research notes, you know. So do we absolve her? A desperate woman in debt, resigned to consorting with wealthy gentlemen. When Dunn cast her aside, she killed him in desperation, and Hamish tried to save her. She deserves a second chance. Well, I don't know if Hamish tried to save her. I think he used her more than tried to save her. But yeah, he wasn't going to throw her to the wolves because he knew that he would go down with her. I think that's giving him a bit too much credit there. But I'm tempted to go with option X. Yes. So, there we have it.
But Holmes, how can you be certain that we'll find Miss White here?
This is her of the benefactor.
It is obvious, Watson. Just use your brain.
This was something I considered.
I do.
Who else is using that lab?
Now that the rope has tightened around Martin Hamish, Miss White must act to erase all traces of her implication. After the suicide of her accomplice, there is one final trace remaining, the deadly plants of the Divine Syndicate. She will be there.
Very good. Shall we go?
Just one moment. Now listen to me, Watson. I shall see her alone. You will conceal yourself behind her, quietly.
Whatever are you planning?
Nothing spectacular. The impulses of women have always been a mystery to me. But she is a bold one, and so we must be cautious.
All right. You can count on me, Holmes.
Yeah, see, I believed she was also working here.
Mr. Holmes, good day to you.
You do not seem surprised, Miss White.
Well, I was expecting you.
Not for too long, I believe. So please tell me, as it is still unclear, who planned the murder? Was it you?
You were wrong, Mr. Holmes.
It was Martin Hamish, then. You managed to convince him to take on a more prominent role.
You could not be further from the truth.
You think that you can fool me?
You don't care what I think.
I am not blaming you, Miss White. You are a young and brilliant woman, trapped in a dull and hostile world. Life has never been easy, men in particular.
You... It is hopeless.
Indeed. Well, it may be true that I cannot yet change the world, but I can spare your life.
My life. There is nothing left to save. I have lost everything. Do you hear me? Everything! And you were just like all the others. You would abuse and take advantage of a vulnerable woman.
I hardly think so. Now just listen to me.
I've tried.
Good hiding,
so
Watson.
hard. But I have had enough.
Miss White, no! I beg you not to do this, Miss White.
Don't come any closer.
Please remain calm. We can help you.
Not one step further.
Ready, Watson.
Don't try to stop me.
Stop this foolishness.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do with these quick time events.
No, it's too late.
Oh shit, I was supposed to press the button.
magic, Holmes.
Are you able to do anything?
I'm afraid not. The poison has been fulgurating. Her heart stopped instantly, poor child.
Oh dear. Oh dear. I was waiting for a button prompt there to be like, press A now. I should have just pressed it. That could have been clearer. Alright, well, I'm not one to save scum and go back and try again. We accept whatever choices we make on this channel, and we live with them. 91% solved it the same way, but 24% made the same moral choice. So the other 3/4 of people just over went for the rope. Interesting. The Half Moon Walk. So it's kind of like a little bit of Michael Jackson, is what they're saying.
Where are you going, Holmes? Have you been invited somewhere?
We have been invited, Watson,
We have. Where to?
to the Baker Street Irregulars' annual dinner. They sent us an invitation. It is on the table.
A dinner? How could those street urchins afford anything like that? I can't understand your interest in them, Holmes. They're dirty. They wouldn't hesitate to steal your wallet.
Watson, you should be excited. It is a secret dinner. Its location changes every year. Read the menu. Sounds mouth-watering.
All right.
Rat.
We, the secret police of Baker Street, invite you, Sherlock Holmes, and Dr. Watson to our annual dinner.
Dr. Watson.
Menu, entree, frozen rat head salad. Is this a joke?
Not at all. Pray continue.
Main course, sow's udder in Danny Nutcracker's way. Sounds disgusting, Holmes. Hedgehog goulash.
Ooh.
Street turnips in homemade juice. And it goes on.
I can hear them
I
on
want
the
to know what
stairs
homemade
now.
juice is.
Oh, we can't go there. We can't eat that.
Watson, you'll hurt the feelings of those poor children. We have to go.
Yes, Watson, think about the children.
Oh, Mr. Holmes.
It is fine, Mrs. Hudson.
Mr. Holmes.
Wiggins, Dr. Watson is getting ready. He will be delighted to join us. You don't look well, my young man. Is there something wrong? Don't tell me the dinner is cancelled.
Mr. Holmes is my brother Leighton. He's in a prison cell. They say he's killed 2 men. You have to help us, Mr. Holmes, 'cause I know he didn't do it.
Where is he now?
From what I've heard, they took him to the yard, and they gave him a good beating already. You know what they're like. They'll hang him. They won't look any further.
Holmes, we have to help him.
Well, and forget about the dinner. Wiggins, I'll take the case.
You're fantastic, Mr. Holmes. I'll be waiting for you at the crime scene. You'll be there, right? It's on Half Moon Street in Whitechapel.
Very well.
They could, yep. Alright, so... investigate the crime scene and talk to witnesses, and interrogate Leighton, and examine his belongings at Scotland Yard. We should probably do that first. What did we take away from the last case? We kept the deadly plant. Of course he did. Of course Holmes keeps the deadly plant. I mean, why not, right? Okay, we should also read the letters. Albert Dunn's confession. I'm writing to express my appreciation for your striking at the truth of the horrible case. At first I could not even imagine how Miss Margaret White, such an exceptional and beautiful woman, could plan and commit such a dreadful murder with that fellow Hamish. How angry I was, but when I attempted to put myself in her shoes, I began to understand. As talented and as beautiful a lady as Miss White was, she evidently could not complete her studies without money, while my father was living its high life, deficient in human sympathy. Thank you for your kindness towards her. She is no longer here, and I already miss her. Oh dear. When it said this was his confession, I thought it was going to be, ha, you fool, it was me. Now nothing stands in my way. And by the way, my name is James Moriarty, not Albert Dunn. But I doubted that would happen. Come on, open the door, Holmes. Flummoxed by a door handle, my goodness. Well, my delivery's not here yet anyway. That's a bit upsetting. Damn you, Amazon!
Mr. Holmes!
My beneficial
Whatever
overlord.
brings you here so late at night?
I'm interested in the case of young Leighton Chapman. He was arrested earlier this evening and accused of a double murder.
I beg your pardon? That case is quite clear to the police. Or are there any new facts that we don't know about?
Who knows, Inspector?
Look, you are free to investigate, of course, Mr. Holmes. Chapman was arrested with a revolver in his possession, which you can find in the evidence room. The suspect himself is in custody.
Did you find anything else on his person?
A few personal belongings. Nothing particular, Mr. Holmes.
Thank you, Lestrade.
Okay. See, he's still studying noses. Which one of these is Holmes's nose, I wonder? Yeah, definitely that one. Let's line it up. Can we line it up? Almost. Okay. And that's the morgue. Not the evidence room. Here it is. So, the revolver.
So this is the gun that Leighton was holding when he was caught by the police. It is a Webley revolver, a reliable weapon.
What is that in one of the cylinders? Doesn't look like an actual bullet. Or maybe it's burned because it's the primer went off. But usually that doesn't happen. How do I... there we
It
go.
seems as though the shells were not removed from the cylinder.
Open the barrel.
2 out of the 6 shells have been fired.
Okay.
There were 2 shots.
So I guess those shells got scorched somehow.
2 out of the 6 shells have been fired. There were 2 shots.
I never saw shells do that in the revolvers I used to fire at the gun club I used to go to as a young'un, but never mind.
A cheap watch, bought with his own money, no doubt.
It's like in video games though, when you find that secret door in the maze or something and it's always a slightly different texture on the wall. Yeah, how else would you know otherwise, right?
These cigarettes are filled with cheap tobacco. Nothing interesting.
Yeah, but what about the apple, Holmes? Nothing interesting about the apple. Let us go speak to the rascal.
Please escort this suspect for interrogation. Good evening, Mr. Chapman.
That's it, you know, because you've played way too many games.
Got nothing to say.
I mean, there's that as
It's
well.
all a mistake.
Calm down, Leighton. I have come here to help you. To find out if you truly are innocent, as your younger brother Wiggins has told me.
My brother. You know him. Then that means you're...
Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, blimey. All right, Mr. Holmes. I'll tell you everything.